Hey, how's it going, guys? Welcome to my first impressions of Songs of Conquest. This is a Heroes of Might and Magic successor developed by Lava Potion, a brand new studio, and Coffee Stain Publishing. Coffee Stain Publishing has done, I believe, Goat Simulator, Satisfactory, and Deep Rock Galactic, so pretty good publishing history. Games that made a lot of money, so that's good, and games that a lot of people have liked, with the exception of Goat Simulator, of course. I think they just made a lot of money. Anyway, this is, once again, a Heroes of Might and Magic successor that is a combination of a strategy game and an RPG. Basically, you have an overworld where you wander on the map, and you have turn-based battles, hex-based. So we're actually going to be just getting right into a game right here. I can go over things like the community map and the options menu, but those are going to be heavily subject to change. What's not going to be subject to change so far is the campaign and the skirmish mode. We're going to be showing you the skirmish mode because I don't want to spoil anything in the campaign. But essentially, I'll be talking about it in a second. The campaign's quite good. You have the Rana currently in the game, which are the lizard folks, and then you have the humans. They're oppressors. And you're going to have 2 more campaigns, I believe, in addition to custom campaigns that people can actually make. 2 more campaigns being the undead and I believe another type of humanoid something. I'm not quite sure. Anyway, let's get into the skirmish. All the factions seem to be playable right now, so we're actually going to be playing as the Rana, and then we're going to just have the regular human, whatever, who cares. We have the AI in normal, a couple of maps here, which is nice. You just choose anyone at random, doesn't really matter. Choose something kind of small. Map settings, can do very high. Welder cap. Welders are how many hero type units you can have. Basically, you need a wielder to command an army. You'll see that in a second. Alright, let's just start the game. Get right into it. Loading times are not too bad. This is off an SSD, by the way, so, you know, your mileage may vary. Game runs okay. Oh, actually, we picked the humans. Whoops. Well, you know what? That's okay. We'll learn something new today. Alright, that's fine. So, welcome to Heroes of Might and Magic. I mean, welcome to Songs of Conquest. Yeah, it's very similar to Heroes of Might and Magic. It wears the inspiration on its sleeve, and that's alright. That's a good thing, because we really haven't had a whole lot of really good Heroes of Might and Magic clones. In fact, Heroes of Might and Magic just isn't very good anymore, unfortunately. Just ask Ubisoft. They don't even make the games anymore. I think the last one they made was a goddamn mobile game. Alright, so this is your hero unit. This is your wielder, and she, in this case, can command a big army of troops for the turn-based battles. And the way you build that army up is by building smaller buildings attached to like your settlement, or going around the map and recruiting units. You can go around the map and like upgrade your troops by proxy by upgrading your commander, basically finding armor or getting experience points and leveling up. A lot of RPG elements. We'll get into a battle very, very soon. I actually just saw some enemies, so we'll see. But right now we can get a peasant hut from this center, so this will generate militia that we can buy. This actually will cost something to build that building. We got minstrels. We got farms for passive income, guard towers. You can actually garrison units, and that's pretty helpful if you want to have like your hero just roaming around and, you know, leave your base on, you know, unprotected by them. But we're going to build a militia hut. Now at the top right here, you can see what our army is consisting of. We have a 10 out of 50 stack of militia, basically how the turn-based combat, as I'll show you in a second. I won't go over too much. You'll understand it once we really get into it. But basic way the turn-based combat works is that you get these stacks that move around. This is one stack of 50 troops, let's say, and then you have a troop on the top stack, and that's what you see. It's what fights. And you want to actually combine these stacks to essentially do more damage, because if you take a hit from like a stack of 20 instead of a stack of 10, you'll deal more damage. You can also actually upgrade these, so you can actually get a higher tier of militia. Alright, so we're receiving 150 gold each round from capturing this building, so that's what we're going to actually do. We're just going to run around the map. You can actually see, based on when I right-click right here, how many turns it's going to take, so we can actually move that far without having to end our turn. Now, as you end your turn in the skirmish mode, the enemy's going to take their turn. They're going to do the same things you are. In the campaign, it's a little different. Okay, we can actually recruit these guys. Let's actually do that, yeah. Get a lot of these. Okay, we're actually out of movement, so we're going to end our turn, and it's going to go to the other player. And now it's our turn. And we've been notified our peasant hut has been completed. Okay, we got 1,300 gold. That's nice. Alright, another farm actually over here. Ooh, more riches. Awesome. Okay, we have a variety of options here. What should we do? Let's actually swing around here, get the wood, come back, go to the peasant hut. Okay. We've actually generated 7 in the turns it's been, so that's nice. Let's take those guys. It's 100 apiece. We now have 35 out of 50. Now, based on some stats, how close you are, things like that, you get stuff like scouting, which tells you like how many units you might be fighting and what the threat is. So that's between 25 and 100. We only have 35, so maybe we should go around a little bit and get more resources before we do anything kind of silly. Okay. Let's go to the build site. Let's actually build some of these minstrels. We want some variety in our army. Yes. Alright. So, yeah, it's actually a pretty straightforward kind of game. You build up your army and you engage in battles. Now, the game is a little bit different in the campaign. It's actually pretty interesting in the campaign. So, a lot of games, and actually in particular Heroes of Might and Magic, a lot of strategy games, what they'll do is they'll just, for their campaigns, they'll just make the campaign just a skirmish, but with like a couple things thrown in here and there. Maybe like a special map, or maybe like a very thinly veiled story. I really hate that. I want the game to be thematically interesting, and unfortunately a lot of these strategy games just kind of be like, oh yeah, we're just not going to throw in a campaign, we're just going to like just have some flavor text and that's it. This game actually does have a campaign. I've been playing the Rana campaign for about 4 hours. There's about 4 missions right now. Each one can take anywhere from like an hour to 2 hours. So I'm not that far into it, but it's fun. I like it. It's interesting. They've got some interesting characters there, and they actually have some thematically interesting elements. By the way, this is the armor system. Basically, when you add these to your hero, you can do... you just can get more bonuses, so we actually get plus movement and view rates. We're actually going to get that for the early game. That's actually going to be very useful. But anyway, the campaign is just very interesting in general because you have that progression of leveling up and collecting armor, then going to the next mission, and then there's also like story segments, and then there's also things that are happening on the map. Like, you're not going to have just another hero wandering around. Sometimes you have that just pop up randomly, or maybe it's like, oh, you got to run away from this guy because he's way too powerful. You know, that wouldn't happen in a skirmish mode where you have to avoid like another hero. It's designed to be unwinnable. Like, it's just to add like kind of like a timer, and that can be a little frustrating, and I'll get into that in a second. So this is actually the RPG element system. As you wander around the map, you actually can gain levels, and you can actually have multiple wielders, and you can see where this kind of gets interesting in the RPG area. You have a strategic element, and then you have an RPG element. So you can have multiple commanders wandering around the map. And right now we actually have... Okay, for the first 3 battle rounds... Ooh, okay, that's pretty good. But that's for, I believe, yes... Is that a skill or a spell that you cast? Is that passive? I think it's just passive. Okay. Melee... We actually want bigger stacks, but we don't have a big army to compensate for that, so we're gonna just go with cunning. Yeah, we're still building up our army, so we can get that a little later. Okay. We actually get... Oh, we actually got a boar spear. Nice. Okay. 9 offense. That's awesome. Yeah. The game's art style is also nice. The soundtrack is pretty good, too. I do like the aesthetic quite a bit. It does look nice. Okay. Okay, we got a scout here. Medium. Now, in my opinion, the game is having one little problem, and it's actually quite a big problem. We can offer money right here for a blessing. Okay, nice. The game's kind of falling into a bit of a trap where it comes to just the strategic element. Fighting just seems a little bit too blobby, in my opinion. It's about massing the most amount of troops and just having this war of attrition. Now, the magic system leads for an opportunity to be a little bit more interesting, but the magic system is also kind of broken, and it's kind of unbalanced and all over the place. I feel like they need to fix the strategic element a little bit more, because that's what you're going to be doing in terms of like building up armies and fighting them against, you know, others. Okay, now we've gotten a little bit more experience here, and we can see that these guys are actually challenging. So let's not do that. Let's not do that. All right. He's actually guarding this helmet, which we actually want. So we're going to be wandering around the map a little bit here. I do want to get into a turn-based battle really quick. I think the interesting part is it's sort of like Total War, except turn-based, where like you're kind of building up everything on the overworld for this fight. Like it's like the fight itself can be fun, but it's really everything that builds up to that fight that makes it interesting. It's why like Total War's skirmish mode is just not like awesome by itself. It's the campaign map that leads up to the skirmish mode. That's where the game gets really interesting. All right, now we could withdraw if I wanted, if I don't want to do this. 11 to 25, 1 to 5. Yeah, but he's got 5 stacks. You know what? Let's level up one more, or not level up, excuse me. Let's get some more troops really quick. Yeah, I'm more confident now. Okay, let's do, there we go. Let's split the stack slightly so we don't have like a literal garbage, because again, the smaller the stack, the less damage they're going to do. And they're also going to be more likely to get wiped out. Okay, much better, much better. Okay, let's do that. Kind of a wasted a turn doing that. Now in the overworld, of course, the AI is going to take a turn, they're going to get a little bit of an advantage. But in the campaign, there's more of just these guys around, so you don't have to worry too much. The only problem is that in the campaign, because there's not another hero unit to really like mess with you, there's either the timer aspect where like an enemy could come in and like just try to wipe the floor with you, or if there isn't that, the enemies in this game, the ones that are just the NPC types that are just here, these are not players, they're just NPCs. They'll just grow stronger the more turns you take in the campaign. So there is a incentive to kind of rush through it, but also you want to like stop and like get upgrades because those carry over. You want to get experience points. Oh, that's really important. All right, finally we're in a turn-based battle. Nice. Okay. So he already started with a ranged attack. So the game goes by initiative. Basically, who has the highest amount of initiative goes first. And as you can see, he's got a lot of that. And you want to do a lot of damage very early on, because if you don't do that, you're going to get whittled down a little bit and you're going to do less damage. So I should probably explain this. The green health bars are the health of the current unit in the stack, the top unit, and then the number right here is how many units are in that stack. Then you can target enemies like this, and it'll show, okay, the skull is how many enemies will die if you initiate that, so it's 3 to 5 enemies in that 5 enemy stack, so we can actually kill the whole stack. And then it'll say, right there, 30 to 91 damage total. And it'll also show benefits, so high ground is important. Now, if I move my troop forward and maybe like try to go on high ground, well, I can't really, but if I tried to do that, I would actually get a ranged penalty. So there's no line of sight in this game, so you can just shoot, whatever, it's fine. But if you move up on the same turn as you fire, you'll actually do less damage. Okay, we actually got the kill there too. We actually got momentum too. Now the game is a little bit stingy in telling you like what does what, like momentum. Like I think I missed that in the tutorial. It's very brief. But there is a codex to see some of these things, but not all of them. It's kind of buried. Okay, let's go here. Move this guy up. Now, I think he's reloading, is he? So here's your magic system. I almost forgot to mention that. So, when you're in a battle, depending on what kind of troops you have, what kind of items you have, what kind of spells you have, what kind of RPG elements you've been picking, you can get essences, and these essences are various in type. So you have order, you have chaos, you have destruction, and by combining these, you can get different types of spells. And as you stack more essences, more spells become available to you as you play a turn-based battle. So right here you have things like swap places between 2 targets, fury, damage, target enemies, like debuffs, stuff like that. So, and you can see at the bottom, you're like, oh, this costs 3 chaos, this costs 4 creation, this costs 4 order, this costs 5 order. So the idea is you want to have a lot of diversity in your army strength and in your spell book for when you level up, so that you can deal crazy damage and abilities and all that stuff. There is actually a mechanic that I wasn't able to show you right there. There's a melee mechanic. When you engage directly in melee combat, like go right adjacent to another enemy, if either of you move away from each other, the unit that's retreating will take damage by the unit he's adjacent to. So you gotta be careful about that. There's a counter system too. So if you attack an enemy in melee range, they'll counter back unless, you know, they're not able to do that. But you can actually, if you don't kill an enemy unit in melee range, you can actually take a lot of damage if you're not careful. Let's bolster our ranks a little bit. Yeah, that sounds good. Maybe we can get into a melee battle really quick. We could actually upgrade these. That would be really nice, but we need some items. Basically, tiers. When you upgrade buildings, you can get higher tiers of units or higher resource pools, like just more passive resource income. It's pretty standard. Now, again, the problem I'm having with the game is that it's getting a little too blobby. It's just, okay, just build as many units as you can and just throw them at the enemy. Just throw everything you got and you'll win every time. It's a little bit frustrating. Sometimes you'll be thrown off balance by, like, the magic system, and that's kind of what's holding the game together, to be a little bit more strategic. But for the most part, the magic can range from either underpowered or broken, and the ranged units in this game are just very frustrating in general. Alright, actually, we might be able to show you that counter system now, and the retreat system maybe as well. Oh shit, nice, we're actually going to do a lot. And it's a tiny little stack, not very good for this guy. See, there's the counter system. Now, when you actually highlight the enemy for an attack, it's not going to show you how much damage they're going to do. Now, he's melee, so, you know, he's not going to be able to attack back, and especially because, you know, he's going to be dead. But, you know, if I were to attack a ranged enemy, or a melee enemy in melee range, it's not going to show me, like, how much damage I'm going to take from that counter. And that's a little frustrating, because that takes, again, part of the strategy. I'm like, oh, what if I don't want to do this? What if I want to do this instead? You know, that's... Sometimes information is very helpful, and it adds more strategy to the game. It's just not guessing. Alright, oh yeah, so we are reloading. Okay, that is mechanic. Alright. We're actually going to do the high ground right here. So if we actually run away, we'll actually take damage. I want to show you that really quick. It's actually by these two, so that's actually really bad. So we actually were able to take so much damage that we actually lost some of our stacks, and we're not even going to be able to get a kill. I think we had a 0 to 1 chance before, now we don't even... Now we're not even going to do enough damage to kill any of those guys in that stack. Let's see. Now I wonder if this... Yeah. So what we should have done is move him out like that, so that way he wouldn't have taken any damage. Of course, I wanted to demonstrate that. So we'll move him to the high ground. And we'll throw initiative on... How about on one of our archers? Maybe we'll move up a little bit on the list. No, not quite, unfortunately. Oh, he's got melee too. That's very nice. Okay. Nice. Okay. Again, it gets a little too blobby, like, okay, you attack, I attack, you attack, I attack. And some of the movement range for, like, the melee is, like, super short sometimes, too, so it kind of sucks. Like, there's not much I can do. He could just snipe me for, you know, 5 turns or whatever, and just whittle me down a little bit. Again, the game is still in early access, so... Now the question is, do I recommend it in its current state? And the answer is yes, if you're a big fan of Heroes of Might and Magic. If not, I'd maybe wait for a few balancing changes, because while the campaign is holding my attention, I never really played Heroes of Might and Magic, but, you know, I tried a little bit of 5, but it didn't hold my interest. This one is, which is shocking. However, I think the big problem from this one is the fact that it's just not strategic enough to really hold my attention beyond what I've played so far. It has held my attention up to this point, 4 or 5 hours. It's pretty good. But that's because there's a lot of quality of life improvements compared to the Heroes games. You can actually run this game, borderless windows, but, how about that? Something crazy like that. Oh my god, you can run it with other stuff in the background. Whoa. Technology, right? But, it is just a little bit easier to get into because of, those reasons, believe it or not. Because there hasn't just been very good spiritual successors to Heroes of Might and Magic that haven't just been, doing their own thing. What I mean by that is that there have been Heroes of Might and Magic clones. Oh god, actually, I might have screwed this up. I actually shouldn't have done that. Why did I engage in this fight again? I kind of wanted to show you guys? Yeah, probably. I can't retreat. There's also no reload battle option from the campaign menu, even though you totally can just reload a save. Anyway, as I was saying, there have been, like, Heroes of Might and Magic successors. The problem is that they either haven't been very good or they've been their own things. An example would be the King's Bounty series. The King Bounty series actually inspired Heroes of Might and Magic, and then they got revived in, like, the late 2000s. And that franchise, I believe, actually just got another reboot, and apparently it's not very good. But it's more of an RPG than a strategy game. It has the hero units, but I think it only has, like, one for some of the games at least. And there's no, like, overworld building. It's just, you know, overworld traveling on the map and, like, doing quests and stuff. You know, there's quests and it's cool, but there's no strategic element for that overworld part that really makes it interesting. And then you have games that go in the opposite direction, like Age of Wonders, which is a strategy game. They're purebred strategy game with some RPG elements, like, you know, with the hero stuff and the turn-based battles. But, again, it's too much of a strategy game. We want, you know, that's not what we want, right? We want Heroes of Might and Magic. We want the strategy mixed with the RPG. And this game is the closest it's been to getting, like, you know, getting it right. There have been other attempts being directly like Heroes of Might and Magic, but unfortunately they just haven't been very good. And if not that, they've been completely different than what Heroes of Might and Magic is supposed to be. Take a shot every time I've said Heroes of Might and Magic this game. By the way, when you lose your items too. You revive your will there, but at this point it's better to just reload a save if you can. The game does have a nice, generous, quick save system, so that's good. Anyway, if you're into the Heroes of Might and Magic series, I can kind of recommend this one. Maybe wait for a balancing patch, but I can say, like, okay, $30, it's not too bad. Maybe it'll definitely scratch that itch, I think, at least initially. But I'm kind of getting burned out on it right now because I just feel like it needs less than just War of Attrition gameplay. It needs a little bit more strategy in the turn-based battles, but I like the overworld. The campaign is a little frustrating, though, because you have limited room for error. As I said before, you can have things on the map that just can completely decimate you, like those like scripted sequences where they send, like, enemies at you that can just deal a ton of, like, just damage to you, like basically suicidal, like enemies you're not supposed to engage on the map. They're basically timers. And if you screw it up, especially in the first mission, actually, they throw one of these at you. I actually had to reload the save like 3-4 times just to be able to get through that mission because I was taking too long, and then I didn't realize, oh god, they're actually sending a massive force at me. It didn't appear until, like, I don't know, like 20, 25 rounds in. Can't remember. It's got a good skeleton, but it needs a little bit more for me to wholeheartedly recommend it. But if you like Heroes of Might and Magic, it's definitely worth checking out, I think. Just be forgiving of some of the early access flaws. Alright. Anyway, guys, thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time. I'm out.